Today we are creating our fish bowls. You know, we learned about the artist Henry Matisse, and we were inspired to do our own Henry Matisse fish bowl artwork. We've created our room, and today is our big day to create our fish bowl. And isn't this a great idea? I took a paper plate and I chopped the top off to make it look like a fish bowl. So the part that is cut off is the top. So make sure that you've got that part up at the top. I want you to use a pencil to draw. We always begin with pencils. For this video, Mrs. Crunch is going to use a Sharpie so you can see it. I want to make sure you can see it. And to give you some great ideas, I've created this packet. Now, you can look through this packet for ideas, but of course, I know how creative you all are. And if you have some neat ideas that aren't in the packet, of course you can do that. Think of creating the most amazing fish bowl ever, and think about what you would want to do inside of it. So, and like I said, I just gave you this packet to give you some ideas. So checking that out, the first thing you want to think about is the bottom. What do you want at the bottom of your fish bowl? I think I'm going to have some sand. And I've got one layer of sand, and I think I'm going to add another layer of sand. You know what I want in my fish bowl? A big pot of gold, or actually like a treasure chest of gold. And I was just looking at some of these treasure chests, and I think I'm going to try this one out. Remember, whenever you're drawing, you look for the shapes and lines. And this treasure chest may look tricky to you, but you know what? It's just made up of squares and rectangles. So as I start that, I can see right here, I've got a square here. I've got a long rectangle heading up this way. I actually have a half circle I see here. Let's see, this is going to go up here. This is going to come down in another half circle. And then I am definitely filling my pot of gold with lots and lots of gold. I keep calling it a pot of gold. I think it's a treasure chest. Mine is an awesome treasure chest filled. Oh, don't you wish you had this? Then I can also see that it's got some lines. I love the lock because I would want to keep mine locked up with all that gold in there. And I can see some lines that go across the back and some lines that go across there. I want you to take your time and do a really great job at doing this. I'm going to put another layer of sand right here. Then, you know what else I think I'm going to do? Some seaweed. Let me get some seaweed. I think the seaweed's super fun to draw because it's just kind of wiggly lines and organic shapes. So I think that's super fun. All right, so I've got my sand, I've got my seaweed, and I've got my treasure chest full of gold. I am now ready to start coloring this in. Now, let me tell you this. We will be doing a fish, and that fish is going to go right there in the middle. So some of this background is going to be covered. I just want you to know that. Once I start coloring, I need you to know this. This is important. We are not going to color the sky because we're actually going to paint the sky with watercolors. We are only going to color the sand, the bottom, whether it's rocks or pebbles or gravel, whatever you put at the bottom, you're going to color that. And our seaweed or the mermaid or the castle, whatever you put at the bottom of yours. And we've used oil pastels before. I want you to do a really nice job. Remember, once you're finished coloring, you want to check that craftsmanship chart. And on the chart, let me show you. Remember, here's our chart. We want to get to a 4. This is what a 4 looks like. 3, 2, and 1. Check. Make sure you're getting to a 4 on that craftsmanship chart. Once you color this in, let me show you. I've colored this one in already. And remember, I only color the bottom in my objects. You want to leave all of this water part for the watercolors. I also want to point out something else. Do you see how Mrs. Kearns colored all the way down here at the bottom? You want to make sure you color all the way to the bottom. Once this is colored in it is time to start working with the watercolors. Remember, this is what the watercolors look like. When you're working with watercolors, you need your cup of water and a watercolor paintbrush. My watercolor paintbrushes have the red handle. You're going to dip your paintbrush in the water, and watercolors need water to work. You are going to bring that dripping wet paintbrush over. You're going to rub it lightly in the color. Remember, there's no reason to dig into that paint. You are just going to lightly rub. You might notice each time I get new paint, I'm dipping my paintbrush in the water. You might also notice I'm painting right over my drawing, and that's okay. The water's going to go all over your drawing. Make sure you get those edges. So you're going to paint right over all of that oil pastel that you did. Down here. Look how great this looks. I decided to use some bright colors for my sand. I know most sand is tan or brown, but you know what? I'm the artist, and I thought I would love some bright, beautiful sand. So I colored mine purple and orange. I think it turned out pretty great. I want you to notice something. As I am going over this oil pastel, you might be noticing it's not painting on there. That's because the oil pastel does something called resist. It resists that watercolor paint, and it won't paint on there. I think it's kind of like magic. I love this. All right, once you have painted the entire thing, I want you to be a white spot detective. And look closely. Uh-oh, Mrs. Kearns, I see some white spots. Let's get them. Cover those up. I cannot wait to see your fish bowls. When you're finished, you're going to put this on the drying rack. And you may have noticed I made a mess. Artists are messy. That's okay. Get a sponge. Wipe this down. Make sure all your supplies get put back in the right spot. Clean out your brush. Put your cup of water away and the watercolors over on the trays. Have a great time creating your fish bowl today.